Hi, my name's Shawn Jansen. I'm joined by Shawn Lynch, and this is what, week 6 of the show? Week 5 of the season, week 6 of the show. A lot of teams on byes this week as the CCC gets prepared for action next week. Merced, Golden Valley, and Atwater are all off. Big game this week with Buhack hosting St. Mary's, and a nice win last week for Merced beating Clovis North.
Yeah, it sounded like the defense and the special teams really came to the forefront there.
All right, we'll go more into detail on the happenings from last week. Shawn Lynch went out to Le Grand to talk to their new coach, Raul Alvarez, about their big matchup with Ripon Christian. But before we get to that, here's the sights and sounds from last week.
Hey, I'm on mom.
Alright, let's start off with that big game out at the Veteran Stadium last week. Merced getting a big win over Clovis North. Not the offense getting it done necessarily. Special teams and defense really stepping it up.
Yeah, they start off with a bang. Jabbar Bird returns opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown. They get another big return later. Jamar Turner, who returns it all the way to the 1-yard line to set up another Bird 1-yard touchdown. Which kept the offense, the Merced offense only ran about 50 plays. Tyrone Williams only passed the ball. I think he had like 9 attempts. So it was more them kind of controlling the clock at the end and the defense coming up with big plays when they needed. They had 7 sacks and they came at crucial times right at the end of the first half to keep Clovis North from scoring and letting Merced to go into halftime with the lead. And then at the end of the game, Kenneth Hamill with a big sack on 4th down to get Clovis North off the field. Their running back, Bolo Olorunfunmi, 202 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kid's a stud. Played hurt. I think he rolled an ankle early in the game, had to get carried off at halftime to the locker room. Didn't start the second half. They're kind of working on his, looked like he might have had some cramps in his calves. They're working on that on the trainer's table. Came in around the 3rd or 4th play of the second half. Just had a big-time game. But Merced's defense, I think having Jermon Cook back was big, especially in the interior of the defense. They didn't get a lot of yards against Merced between the tackles. He did a lot of bouncing the ball outside, getting some big runs that way. But a big win for Merced. They get a bye this week. They're going into League 3-2, and I think they're still the favorites in the CCC.
Yeah, it didn't look fun tackling him in some of your video highlights. Kind of the quarterbacks throwing themselves at the big man's legs.
Yeah.
Nice to see Merced kind of adjust some of the things that they do to cater themselves to what they needed to do to win this game, kind of change their style a bit and play a little more ball possession instead of going for those quick scores that they're so known for.
Yeah, and Coach Scheidt talked about it at the end of the game. He said, you know, it's not about our style, it's about getting the W, and they had to do the things to win. Jabbar Bird's a player. He may be one of our best, he might be the best football player pound for pound in our area. I mean, he was playing running back, he's running back kicks and playing DB, and he had to get in there and blew up some screen plays. Kid's just a heck of a ball player. You had a nice double overtime game at Atwater. They pick up their first win. Talk about their win over Sobrado.
Yeah, talk about a team just needing to get a W. Atwater's had a brutal schedule. They needed some momentum going into the bye week. Just needed to get a victory so they, have something positive going before the start of CCC play. Obviously, it wasn't easy. They had to do it in double overtime. game started off about as nightmarish as it could with them fumbling on their first 2 possessions. But they settled into the game. They put together some drives. Basically, Sobrato's offense came from two consecutive plays almost, where they drive down the field, score a touchdown, and then the Atwater special teams got caught sleeping on a pooch kick. I don't even know that Sobrato was going for this kick, just nobody for Atwater tried for it whatsoever. The Sobrato kid was able to catch it off of the bounce. It's something you've never seen before in a game, and they were a little shocked. But they answered with a nice drive to start the second half, force overtime. Really impressed with the Atwater defense, considering how many guys they lost last year that were big-time contributors. Held Sobrato to 37 total yards in the second half and the 2 overtimes. And that's 10 of those came with them scoring their first overtime touchdown. Still, things got a little dicey in overtime. Atwater scores a touchdown on their first drive. Michael Vargas into the end zone with his second touchdown of the game, but they missed the extra point. Sobrato quickly answers. They score just 3 plays into their drive. And I think it was a big false start call that the Atwater kind of forced with sending everybody up to the line, kind of bringing the heat on the point after try. Pushed them back 5 yards, and that was enough for the kid to pull the ball to the left and keep the game going. Atwater wins it on a broken play. Frank Cosio, really impressed with that guy. That kid's a gamer right there. Not supposed to be a runner, but he did some nice things with his feet in the game, including the game-winning touchdown. They'd done well with their play action all game, but Sobrato was ready for it in this instance, and he had absolutely nothing. Wisely tucked the ball down and somehow made it through the pile and came out on the other side, scoring the game-winning touchdown. So big win for Atwater. I think it's a huge confidence boost for a team that was really reeling after playing one of the toughest non-conference schedules around this year. And we'll see if they can build on this moving forward. They got the bye now. They're going to get 2 of their receivers back in the next few weeks. That's going to be big for them.
All right, some other action from Friday night. We had Southern League action beginning. Le Grand, fell behind early against Gustine. They got the win there. Pacheco was big over Central Valley in the ERWAC opener. Los Banos beat Ceres big. Livingston beat El Cap big. And down in the central section, Chowchilla beats Dos Palos.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a lot of surprises there, but some of the coaches did not think those games were going to be as convincing of victories as they were. So I think we're starting to see who the haves and have-nots are as we're moving forward and getting into league play.
All right. Well, Le Grand's been a have for the last 4 or 5 years with 4 straight section titles. You went out to talk to Raul Alvarez. They got a big game coming up this week against Ripon Christian. Let's hear what they had to say.
Okay, we're out at Le Grand practice with head coach Raul Alvarez. First year as the main man out here. What's been different for you? How have things been changed?
I guess for the most part, it's been administrative stuff that goes along with the coaching responsibilities. Coaching football has always been there, but the actual administrative part, paperwork, has been a big difference.
Obviously, you guys had a lot of turnover from last year's team. Started out 0-2, but obviously you bounced back with 2 wins the last 2 weeks. Were people starting to hit the panic button a little bit?
I guess you could say that around here. People are used to winning, and they like the success and what has happened this past 5 to 6 years. But everything's a progress. Obviously we have new people up front on offense and defense, and we got to make sure that those guys are doing the right things and getting better, and they are getting better, and it's reflective in our record.
You guys have always stressed that all that matters of the non-conference is getting yourself prepared for the Southern League. You won your Southern League opener against Gustine last week. How have you felt about the progress, and what can we expect moving forward here?
Yeah, I think ever since I've been back, I think we pride ourselves on trying to schedule some tough teams in the preseason to get us ready for league. Battle tested, if you will. I think last week's win really demonstrates how hard we've been working so far to get to that point, to get back and get our record balanced up. Obviously we want to be on the positive side of that, and every day we're working on it. We're really focused on ourselves, what we do, and try to do it as best as we can. and then learn the opponent and go from there.
Gustine seems like an example of one of the Southern League teams that's really come a long way in the last few years. Obviously, they played you guys tough. Does it seem like it's going to be a much tougher run, you know, regardless of where you're at, just because the league's gotten better?
Yeah, I think with the departure of Ripon Christian and the addition of Oristimba, and then a couple years ago, like you said, the addition of Gustine, both teams coming from the WAC, that kind of gives a little bit more strength to our league, and it brings a little bit more parity into it. So, yeah, those two teams, along with the teams that have remained in the Southern League, are have made it a tougher league.
You guys got Ripon Christian this week, the only team to beat you in the Southern League the last 5 years. What can we expect? Obviously, Andrew Brown's gone, but it seems like they're still doing what they do best.
Yeah, was it 2 years ago? They beat us here on our home field on our last game of the year, senior night. And I think as a coaching staff, and he's in a program, we learned a lot from that loss, and we definitely don't want to go back there. But again, Ripon Christian, you know, they present a formidable challenge. They're a well-coached team. Their players play hard, but we got to focus on ourselves, and we got to get better every week. What we do every week is try to improve at every position, you know, in every phase of the game. And Ripon's going to be a formidable opponent for Friday night.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look at this week's action. Let's start with the game that Raul was just talking about. Ripon Christian taking on Le Grand. It's at Le Grand. Ripon Christian's the only team to beat them during this current run that they have in the Southern League. They got a kid by the name of Brian Sitzma. We'll go Sitzma. And he's kind of taken over where Andrew Brown left off last year. He's really carrying the load. 493 rushing yards, another 97 receiving yards. He seems to be their go-to guy. I'm still liking Le Grand here.
Yeah, Le Grand's at home, and until somebody beats them in the Southern League, I mean, I know Ripon Christian did last year, but until somebody knocks them off, you got to go with the Bulldogs. I think they're kind of finding their way here after starting off 0-2. You know, Frankie Contreras, quarterback's been playing well. From what I heard, he had his wisdom teeth taken out last Wednesday.
Gamer.
Yeah, and he was on the field Friday throwing touchdown passes.
Picture of the poor kid's cheeks. they did not look comfortable.
The sophomore Carlos Iniguez, the running back, he had a big game last week with 110 yards and a touchdown. They're going to continue to find ways to get Christian Williams the ball. I like the Bulldogs here, but I think it's going to be close. You look at their game against Gustine, barely won in by 3 points. I think this one's going to be a nail-biter here because Ripon Christian at 4-0, it's going to be a tough victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's decided by whoever wins the line of scrimmage. Last week was the first time they had a running back over 100 yards on the season for Le Grand. But this offense is definitely taking strides each week. If they can get that running game going, it opens up the play action that they like to do with the passing game, and then you're going to see Victor Martinez and Christian Williams get some plays down the field. So I like Le Grand here, but I agree. I think it's going to be a close one.
Buhack Colony, their last non-conference game is a big one. They host St. Mary's. Both teams are 3-1. Going into this game, we're filming this on Monday. Traded text messages with Kevin Navarre, the Buhack Colony coach, to ask him what their status was with Andre Sherman, whether he's going to be on the field, because he was ejected from the last game for what they called targeting. So he was ejected for that game, which carries a 1-game suspension. Buhack Colony is appealing that, so they should know early in the week, but we don't know whether he's going to play, which is going to affect our predictions later on. But looking at this matchup, you got St. Mary's 3-1, one of the best programs here in the southern half of the section. It should be a nice matchup here regardless.
Yeah, you got to give the edge to St. Mary's for now. Probably even with Sherman on the field, just because they've played a pretty tough schedule, and they've come out with a 3-1 record. Only loss is a 3-point loss to San Francisco schools, St. Ignatius, or
St. Ignatius.
Ignatius, that's how you pronounce it. But Buhack, for them to be successful here, they gotta be clean. If they're the cleaner team, they're gonna give themselves a chance. They've had trouble with penalties in some of the games. They've fumbled a few balls and put balls on the ground. if they can just pound it out like they like to do and be a cleaner team, they're going to give themselves a fighting chance.
Yeah, they definitely can't afford the personal fouls that they've been getting early on this season, because that's going to hurt you against a team like the Rams. They got to be able to run the ball, Stephani. I think they'll be able to move the ball against St. Mary's. St. Mary's, that has given up some points, but I'll go with the Rams here, just off pedigree here. Last game, we're looking at Ceres at Livingston. Livingston just continues to win. Big win over El Cap last week, 44-0. They're sitting at 4-1, 4 straight wins here. Facing a Ceres team that's 1-4, you got to like the Wolves to continue winning here and set up a big matchup with Pacheco next week.
You do, but it's kind of an interesting matchup just based off of what Coach Gonzalez had to say last week. They're going up against a team that throws the ball early and often, and Livingston's specialty so far has not been defending the pass. So it could be more intriguing than it looks on paper when you look at the records. I'm going to go Livingston, but Boussard, the quarterback for Ceres, he's going to put it up there. He's already got 865 passing yards on the year. Livingston's going to need to get some turnovers off of him. He's thrown 6 picks in the 5 games. I think they played 5 games already. So if they can do that, I like Livingston to continue what it's doing.
Yeah, I like the way C.J. Avila's playing at quarterback. 7 touchdowns, only 1 interception. They're holding on to the ball, and they're getting some nice plays in the run game with the kind of the combination of Jose Mejia and then the Avila brothers, CJ and Eddie. And then you got to like the way their defense is playing, only giving up 10 points a game. So yeah, I like Livingston there.
All right, that's going to do it for the show this week. We'll see you out there on Friday nights, and we'll be back again next week.